Hello, this is Richard, and I'm going to give you an overview of the Millennium Way 2023, specifically to highlight a few areas which are different from the course. First of all, those of you who are catching the coach, you will do so at Shobnall Leisure Complex. There's a car park here. The gate should be open for you, and the coaches will arrive around about 6:45. They will open the height barrier here, come through, collect you. The building is not going to be open, so just park your car, hop on the coach. The coach will leave at 7 o'clock. For those that know Burton, there have been some roadworks on Shobnall Road recently. They have been lifted for the weekend, so there are no roadworks at all. You can access from the usual direction. The coach is going to take around about an hour, just a little less, and it will drop you off. If I zoom right in here, it will drop you off at this car park here. This is the bus station in Newport, and there's a block of toilets up here, that little building there. And once you have been to the loo, then if you wander through and turn left about 400 meters up this road, there is another car park over here. You can't quite see it, but this building here is the Cozy Hall. So the Cozy Hall is a little community centre where we will be registering from you. Once we've registered you, you will then be returning back to this car park, and we will start you from here. And let me step you through the next part of the course. So after a quick right then left, you head straight away along down this road. Supporters, I should just say, do not try and follow anybody down this road. There's a barrier somewhere around about this point in time that cars cannot get through. Emergency vehicles and things like that can, but cars cannot normally pass. If you're on a bicycle or a motorbike, you can get past, but not a vehicle. So make sure you follow the usual route out and through to Stafford. Most of you will be going up the A518 if you're going to checkpoint 1. So for the runners, you are going to run through right the way until you get to a little mini roundabout here where there's a fairly new retail park which has been built here. There's a McDonald's and a Greggs and an Aldi and various other shops here. You're going to go straight through there and cross over in the middle of the road. Be very careful. The A41 is busy. Shouldn't be too bad, but we'll still see a little bit of traffic. And then you'll hop onto the Millennium Way. And this is basically then a 10-mile run along an all-train track. So there are no changes of direction, nothing you've got to do apart from one. If I zoom in at this point in here, what you will do is as you're running along this great big train line, at one point in time you will get to a children's play park, loads of kind of metal climbing frames and things like that. At that point in time, the path kind of naturally spins round to here. You actually want to take a fork off to the left. Fork off to the left takes you down. So when you get to that kids play park, take the left fork, which is the slightly less obvious path. This will bring you down to here, and then you'll go up this path here and rejoin, cross the road, and then rejoin the Millennium Way. And then it's straight the way along until you basically bump right into checkpoint 1, which is at Castlefields car park. There's a brand new housing estate which is built here. You can kind of drop off the Millennium Way, the old Millennium Way route, pretty much anywhere along here and follow the road if you want to, and you'll run into the car park, which is just here, and that's where our checkpoint 1 is based. Crews are welcome at this checkpoint. It's nice and big. It's actually the easiest of our checkpoints to meet anybody at. So by all means, come to this cheering point here. After you've left this checkpoint, you go over one little roundabout, and then just before you get to the second, there is a sign that says Cycleway 55, if I remember rightly, and you turn left at that point in time. You go over the railway bridge, and then after you've gone over the railway bridge, you start going down a hill, and as you can see here, it's not your first right, it's actually your second right is the easiest one to take. And then you go along this road and there's a little cut through that puts you onto the river here, the River Sow. And if you miss it, there's no real harm in going right the way through and rejoining the river there. You'll just add a few hundred meters onto your route. So you go right the way along Riverside until you get to the Victoria Bridge. On the opposite side, you'll see that there's a kind of bowling, a little green bowls type of alley, and there's this pretty ornamental bridge that goes over the river. So you go over the bridge, follow it right the way through, and head right the way into Stafford Town Centre. So once you're at this crossroads, there's a pub. I think it's Post House Mailbox. It's something related to that on the corner there. I forget what it's called now. And you turn right here. and there's a Weatherspoons, the picture house is right there, and there's a cinema right here. You're actually going to turn left to go on. Stay on. The easiest thing to do is stay on the left-hand side of the river at this point in time, rather than having to cross over later. So make sure the river is on your right. Follow it right the way through, right the way through, right the way through, and then ultimately it will actually take you up a little ramp to a road, and what you have to do is just carefully cross the road and then rejoin the river again. In some previous years, because this area is prone to getting flooded when the weather is wet, we've directed you around what used to be the old GC Ulstrom plant, and there is a path that takes you along here and joins the canal and goes that way. But as you can obviously see, this path adds a good kilometre or more on. So this year, the weather's been pretty dry. I don't expect this to be flooded at all. So continue right the way through, and what you will find is when you crossed over a couple of bridges, that's one of them is here, a couple of kind of little metal bridges, there is some construction going on, some overflow for the canal, some canal construction that's taking place here. There used to be an exit right in the corner, and you used to have to cross this main road. That isn't the case anymore. So as soon as you cross this little bridge here, more or less head straight for the fence and start to make your way along this fence, and you'll see a brand new stile in the side of the hedge here. Just hop over the hedge, and then you'll join the canal, and that will then safely take you under this canal bridge rather than having to cross what is actually a busy road. Lane is pretty busy, so best to avoid that. Go under that bridge, and then you are going to stay on the canal for a few miles. Now, at this point in time, this is where it differs. We used to be continuing on the canal right the way around here, but there is a canal closure due to some works which are taking place on the towpath. The towpath closed from about here onwards, so in order to avoid that, at the point you have to cross the canal, what we're going sorry, when you get to this point in time, there's a bridge at this point in time. Look in your guidebook. I think it's 104 from memory, but double check it, and then you will hop over that. It's a little footpath which leads to a lane. The lane ultimately ends up back on the A513, which is the main road that goes from Stafford through to Rugeley. So you're going to go to the end of the road, turn left, follow the road right the way through, and around about this point here, you will see the main gates for the Shugborough estate, the big stately home, and just go just past that, and then you will be forking left onto a path. There is actually a bit of a cut through here as well for those that know it, but there's no real difference. Basically, you'll turn left, and then there's a few little crisscrossing paths here. Essentially, follow the main path that goes up to the left and heads uphill. This is the hill, the one which has never been in the Millennium Way before. Yeah, so this is about 60 meters. Don't be too concerned, but it will be a nice change of elevation. You go up to the top of this hill. This area here is a little reservoir. It's shown on here. It's like a little, I don't know, sewage system or something at the top. There's a bit of a brick building with some foliage all around it. If you hug this as you go up there and follow the path round to the left-hand side, as you go around it, you'll see there's actually a gate here which leads into the Shugborough estate. Very tempting looking gate. Do not go through it. Just stay on the path that you're on. As I say, go left around this structure, stay the path you're on, and follow it right the way down, and you'll rejoin this road. Why didn't we keep you on this road, you might ask? It's because there's no pavement, and this road is really fast, really dangerous, so you're going up over that hill. It's the only choice to make. Please do not go through Shugborough estate, even though you may see some cars going this way. These are not public rights of way. This is private land. We don't have permission to use this, so you must use this, which is a public right of way. You rejoin the footpath here. There's a bit of a grass verge for a couple hundred meters, and it turns into a proper footpath, and then you will turn left into the Shugborough estate where cars will go into, which will be going to park on this car park here to go down into Shugborough estate itself. When you get to about this point here, there is a gate. This is the visitors reception, and you're now on Shugborough's private land, but there is a public right of way. There's a bridle way. It's called the Staffordshire Way, actually, that you come through here. There is a barrier. There's a gate across there. Don't worry about all the people queuing up to pay, because they're going to come through and go that direction up to the Stately Hall. Instead, you are going to take a right fork, and then shortly after take a left left fork, which is all signposted, the public right of way, and that will take you up past the lovely stately hall, which you'll see is featured on the medal this year, since we're doing something special and going right past it. And that takes you right the way along, and you go over this pretty little stone zigzaggy ornamental bridge, and off the other side you're then turning right, and you are back then on the usual canal. So that little divert has basically just cut out this canal here. So you're back on the canal, and a couple of miles later, you will run into checkpoint 2 at Wolseley Bridge. And checkpoint 2 is at this point here, just before this bridge is there. Now, just a warning, crews, don't go here. It's not safe. There's no car parking at all. Nothing you can park on anywhere around here. And this road is really busy. The A51 really lethal. So don't come here. Don't try crossing over, because it's very fast and it's just not worth trying to visit anyone here. My advice is meet your person a little further on in Rugeley, somewhere around here, or even a little bit further on. Anyway, for those who are running, you will continue after you've been to the checkpoint for about another 10 minutes or so, and then, very importantly, you will cross this bridge. Have a look in the guidebook for the bridge number here. If you miss that crossing, there is a footpath that goes both sides, unfortunately. And what you can hopefully see at this point in time is it kind of leads you to nowhere, into a dead end. You end up having to go into Rugeley, and it takes ages before you can actually get back on the canal again. So do try not to miss that turn. There used to be a Millennium Way marker on there. If there isn't, just keep an eye out for the bridge number. As I say, you're probably going to be running for, depending how quick you're running, for about another 10 minutes or so before you hit that crossover. And at that point in time, you then remain on the canal, going through Rugeley, until finally you get to this point here, and there's a little church you might see up on an island in the middle of there. Even if you don't, you're there, because you get very close to the train line. This is the train line here, and there's you go almost back on yourself. There's a wooden stake in the ground there, hopefully still has the Millennium Way marker on it, and then you are going to go follow that through, go under the railway bridge, and then you are into the little farmland section, which will take you through to Yoxall ultimately. So I'm not going to go through blow by blow on this. There are waymarks that take you right the way through. If you miss any of this section, you can obviously see there is a road route around this anyway, so it wouldn't be the end of the world if you missed any of this kind of slight shortcut. You could just zigzag your way through on the road until you get to a place called Pipe Ridware. You should see a sign on the road here that says Pipe Ridware, and then in the corner here, remember this, there is a holly bush, and the footpath is cunningly hidden behind the holly bush. So you'll go almost kind of straight through the centre of the holly bush, hop over a stile, go around the back of what used to be, I think, an old church. It's now a theatre of some kind, an old theatre. It goes up to a stile in the corner, and then you're into the more fields. You tend to stay to the left-hand side of this field. Do make sure you close all the gates in this section. We've had this farmer who owns this land a bit angry in the past, because people have left gates open here, and his cows have escaped. And I get angry phone calls from farmers when people leave gates open. So please do close all of those gates behind you. There's only one footpath that takes you right the way through, and then you're back on the Millennium Way, as you can see. It takes you right the way through over a little sluice and a bit of water here. If years gone by, when this was very wet, this turns into a duck pond. Not going to be the case this year. It's going to be nice and dry, I hope. And Bancroft Farm, again, this used to be a muddy area, but I think this year you're going to get lucky, and you're going to be able to shoot around the back of Bancroft Farm here and rejoin the Millennium Way, and follow it right the way through to Yoxall. So when you get just look as you go across all of these fields. It isn't that difficult at all. There is a Millennium Way sign, and there's a finger post or a waymark pointing in the direction of the next stile. So it's pretty straightforward to follow. Just keep your eyes open when you emerge from a hedge, or you're going towards your hedge. Look which direction the little waymark's pointing. That'll guide you there. I realise most of you are going to be on GPS anyway, so it doesn't greatly matter. You can always bring up a copy of the tracking map, which is the GPS. Let me bring up our tracking map here, if I can just bring that. Trackers. Let me find a copy of it and show you where we are. Events. Yeah, so the URL which is in your guidebook is the tracking link. On the day, you will show up as your race number, and you'll be able to see yourself on this map. So, for example, if you were somewhere near checkpoint 3, you could actually see where you are on the map, and if you thought you were slightly off the map, obviously you can then correct. So the tracking map is actually quite useful in order to get you back where you wanted to go. Anyway, back to the map. Eventually, you'll come to checkpoint 3, which is here at Ferris Field. Now, support crews, if you can tell your support crews, don't park anywhere around here. This is a cul-de-sac. There's nowhere whatsoever to park, and the residents get very cross if people park on here. If your crew absolutely do have to visit you here, please park somewhere down this road. So that's a good few hundred meters away from this cul-de-sac. Park down here, and even then, be very careful where you park, not to block any residents or anything like that in. There is a pub round here, which they could, I guess, probably park at temporarily and meet you somewhere else. But if they do want to meet you here, make sure you park on this street here, this is Ferris Field, and the road is, I think it's Ferris Road as well, if I remember rightly. Yeah, Ferris Road. So after you've left there, you're going to go to the end of the road. Take very great care on this busy road here, where you turn a quick right then left. You turn right by a black and white, one of those old kind of black and white looking houses, and then you're back in the last field section, which is actually pretty straightforward to follow. And that will lead you right the way through to emerge on a farm track at this point in time. When you get here, officially the Millennium Way goes this way. You can see this path here, which is leading you right the way around the edge of here. From experience, I can tell you we decided to cut that out of the route a few years ago because we think it's slightly difficult to follow, mainly when it gets dark, and it's also very prone to being waterlogged because of the amount of rivers and streams that are around there. Even though it's going to be dry tomorrow, we've still cut that out. We haven't run that section for some years. So as soon as you get to this golf course here, you are going to remain on the road and go right the way through until you get to the dual carriageway, the A38. You'll have to do a quick back on yourself and around to get on the canal, and then just follow the canal all the way to Burton-on-Trent. And when you get to Shobnell's little marina here, make sure you exit at the marina. And there is an earlier marina, so be careful you don't get off anywhere else. But once you get into Burton, hop off at this point in time, turn left, and then you're only on there for about 150 meters and turn right the way through and run all along the track, and then you'll find the finish line here, usually just to the left of the corner of this building, and there is an entrance into our room here, just on the side of the building there. I think that's more or less everything regards the route. So we look forward to seeing you all on Saturday. Remember to share that tracking link with everybody, which is the track.trail.live/events/Millennium Way. Let me just pull that URL up. There it is. So track.trail.live/Millennium Way. Your names aren't on here right now, but they will be, and all of your viewers, and supporters can search for your name or your race number in here, and view you. They can add you as a favourite, and that. You'll also see estimated times of arrival. They'll know what time you'll arrive at all the checkpoints. There's a leaderboard up on here as well, so that should enable everyone to follow you. I hope you found that useful, and look forward to seeing you on Saturday. Or should I say Sunday? I look forward to seeing you on Sunday. We're registering everybody from 7 o'clock in the morning at the Cozy Hall. I say the bus will arrive, the coach will arrive around about 8ish. So we'll register you from then onwards. Race typically starts around 8:30. All right, thank you very much. We'll see you then.